The message arrived on a quiet Sunday morning, broadcasting simultaneously across every communication channel on Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen was in her laboratory at the Orbital Defense Initiative when the pristine hologram materialized above her coffee cup. The being that appeared looked almost crystalline, with translucent skin that seemed to catch and reflect light in impossible ways. "People of Earth," the entity began, its voice resonating with an otherworldly harmony. "I am High Ambassador Nexus of the Galactic Council. We come seeking your aid in averting a catastrophe that threatens not just our civilization, but the very fabric of space-time itself." Sarah's coffee grew cold as she listened to the message alongside 7 billion other humans. The Council's ships had appeared in orbit moments later, massive structures that resembled abstract art more than spacecraft, their surfaces rippling with energy patterns that defied human understanding. Within hours, Sarah found herself summoned to an emergency meeting at the United Earth Defense Command. As Earth's leading expert in quantum mechanics and stellar phenomena, she knew why they needed her. The Council's message had mentioned something about collapsing stars and cascade failures in the galaxy's gravitational web. General Marcus Rivera, a weathered veteran of the Mars conflicts, stood at the head of the conference table. "Dr. Chen, you've reviewed the preliminary data they sent. What are we looking at?" Sarah pulled up the holographic models the Council had provided. "They're calling it the stellar cascade. Essentially, they've discovered that their method of faster-than-light travel has been causing microscopic tears in spacetime. These tears have been growing, and they're now affecting the stability of stars throughout their territory. And they want our help." Colonel Diana Wright scoffed. "They're centuries ahead of us technologically. What could we possibly offer?" Sarah manipulated the hologram, zooming in on Earth's solar system. "That's the interesting part. Our sun is different. All the stars in our local cluster are. We're in what they call a stability zone, an area of space that seems immune to the cascade effect. They believe studying our stars could help them find a solution. So they say," Rivera muttered. "But what's the catch?" The catch became apparent during the first formal meeting with Ambassador Nexus. Sarah sat beside Rivera as the crystalline being explained their situation in more detail. The Council needed more than just data. They needed direct access to Earth's sun and several other stars in the local cluster. "The process of studying these stellar bodies," Nexus explained, its form shimmering, "would require significant energy extraction. While we would do our best to minimize the impact, it would likely alter the stellar output of your sun by approximately 30%. The room had fallen silent. Sarah's mind raced through the implications. A 30% reduction in solar energy would trigger an ice age, devastating Earth's biosphere and potentially ending human civilization as they knew it. "That's not aid," Rivera said quietly. "That's suicide." Nexus's form pulsed with what might have been regret. "We understand the magnitude of our request. The Council is prepared to offer significant compensation. We would provide you with technology to survive the changing conditions and guarantee Earth a permanent seat on the Council once the crisis is resolved." "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked. The ambassador's next words sent chills through the room. "The cascade will eventually reach your stability zone. When it does, all stars in this sector will die. We estimate you have less than 50 years before that happens. Help us now, and at least some of humanity will survive. Refuse, and everyone dies." As they left the meeting, Sarah caught Rivera's arm. "General, there's something they're not telling us. The data they provided, there are inconsistencies. The cascade spread pattern doesn't match their explanation of its cause." Rivera's eyes narrowed. "What are you suggesting?" "I think they're desperate, yes, but not just because of the cascade. There's another factor at play, something they're hiding, and I believe it might be key to finding a solution that doesn't involve freezing our planet." The general studied her face for a long moment. "How sure are you?" "Sure enough to bet humanity's future on it." Rivera nodded slowly. "What do you need?" "A team. The best minds we have. and access to every scrap of data the Council has provided. If there's another way out of this, we'll find it. You have 48 hours to give me something concrete, Rivera said. After that, the World Council votes on the ambassador's proposal. Sarah headed back to her lab, her mind already racing through equations and possibilities. The Council might have centuries of technological advancement on humanity, but they'd never faced a species with Earth's particular talent for finding impossible solutions to impossible problems. The game had begun, and the stakes were nothing less than the survival of two civilizations. Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she pulled up the first set of stellar analysis data. Sometimes the best way to save humanity was to ignore the obvious choice and look for the impossible one instead. Sarah's lab had become a war room. Holographic displays filled the air with cascading data streams, while some of Earth's finest minds worked through the night. Dr. James Okonjo, a theoretical physicist from Nigeria, stood before a massive projection of Council territory, his fingers tracing the pattern of stellar deaths. "Look at this," he said, highlighting a series of points. "The cascade isn't random. There's a geometric progression to it, almost like it's being guided," finished Dr. Maya Patel, an astrophysicist who'd been analyzing the Council's FTL drive specifications. She pulled up her own data set. Their faster-than-light technology doesn't match the damage pattern they're describing. The tiers should be uniformly distributed, but they're not. Sarah nodded, pieces clicking into place. The Council's hiding something. These aren't natural phenomena. Someone's weaponized the fabric of space-time. The revelation sent ripples through the scientific community and the World Council. When Sarah presented their findings to General Rivera, his face had grown increasingly grim. "You're telling me this is an attack?" Rivera asked, studying the evidence. "But who could have that kind of technology?" "We think it's internal," Sarah explained. "A faction within the Council itself. The data suggests multiple points of origin, all within Council space. They're not just coming to us for help, they're running from something." The next meeting with Ambassador Nexus took on a different tone. The crystalline being's usual serene demeanor showed cracks when Sarah presented their analysis. "Your conclusions are interesting," Nexus said, its form flickering with unusual patterns. "But they don't change the fundamental reality of our situation. The cascade is real, regardless of its origin." "But it does change things," Sarah pressed. "If this is an artificial phenomenon, then we don't need to sacrifice our son to study it. We need to focus on stopping whoever's causing it." Nexus's form pulsed with what might have been anxiety. "The Council has already explored all possible solutions. The stability of your local cluster remains our best hope." "Or maybe you're just looking for a weapon," General Rivera interjected. "Our son's immunity to the cascade might be valuable for more than just research." The ambassador's silence was telling. Back in her lab, Sarah worked through the implications with her team. Dr. Okonjo had made another breakthrough, correlating the pattern of stellar deaths with known political divisions within the Council. "It's a civil war," he explained, pointing to the data. "These affected regions, they all belong to worlds that oppose something called the Unity Directive. The cascade started right after a major Council vote." Maya pulled up additional files they decoded from the Council's database. "The Unity Directive. It looks like some kind of forced technological integration. The Council leadership wanted to connect all member species to a central network. The worlds that refused started experiencing stellar instability shortly after." Sarah felt a chill. "They're not just asking for our help with research. They want to know why we're naturally immune to their weapon." The implications were staggering. Earth's position in the galaxy, the unique properties of their local cluster. It wasn't just random chance. Something about their region of space made it resistant to the Council's technology. A message from General Rivera interrupted their discussion. The World Council had moved up their vote, pressured by reports of increasing stellar instability near Earth's sector. They had less than 24 hours to provide an alternative solution. We need to think differently, Sarah told her team. The Council's technology is based on manipulating space-time to achieve faster-than-light travel. But what if that's the problem? They're trying to bend the universe to their will, and now it's breaking. Maya's eyes lit up. Our local cluster's stability. What if it's not about immunity? What if we're seeing the universe as it's actually meant to be? The team worked through the night, combining Earth's understanding of quantum mechanics with the Council's advanced technology. They began to see patterns that the Council had missed, too focused on their own advanced technology to consider simpler solutions. It's like a rubber band, James explained during their final review. The Council's FTL technology stretches space-time until it breaks. But if we can show them how to work with the natural flow of space-time instead of against it. Sarah stood before the World Council the next morning, tired but confident. Behind her, Ambassador Nexus watched with unreadable crystalline features as she prepared to present their findings. The future of both civilizations hung in the balance, but Sarah knew they'd found something the Council had overlooked in their centuries of advancement. Sometimes the best solution wasn't the most powerful one. They had a chance to save both Earth and the Council worlds. But first, they had to convince a civilization that had spent centuries dominating space-time to learn how to work with it instead. As Sarah began her presentation, she couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization might be teaching them how to be humble before the universe itself. Sarah's presentation to the World Council had an unexpected effect. Instead of relief at their potential solution, Ambassador Nexus's reaction was immediate and severe. The crystalline being's form had shattered into a kaleidoscope of agitated patterns. "This approach is unacceptable," Nexus declared, its harmonious voice carrying an edge of discord. The Council cannot abandon centuries of technological progress based on theoretical work from a pre-FTL civilization. But Earth's leaders had seen enough. The evidence of deliberate manipulation of the stellar cascade was too compelling to ignore. Within hours, the World Council unanimously rejected the original proposal to drain Earth's sun. "Humanity chooses a different path," announced Council President Elena Rodriguez. "We will help solve the cascade crisis, but we will do it our way." The next day, Project Aurora was born. Sarah found herself leading an international team of scientists, working alongside carefully chosen Council technical advisors who had begun to question their leadership's decisions. Among them was Lyra, a young Council engineer whose crystalline form showed more varied colors than her peers. "Your species thinks differently," Lyra told Sarah as they reviewed the initial test data. "We've been taught that mastery over space-time was the pinnacle of achievement, the idea of working within its natural flow. It never occurred to us." The project facility, built in record time beneath the Antarctic ice, hummed with activity. Dr. Okonjo led the Theoretical Physics Division, working to understand the fundamental principles that made Earth's local cluster naturally resistant to space-time manipulation. Maya headed the Practical Applications team, developing technology that could potentially reverse the cascade's effects. But they weren't working without opposition. Strange accidents began occurring in the facility. Critical data would disappear, equipment would malfunction, and test results would become corrupted. Sarah knew the Council hardliners were trying to sabotage their work. "They're afraid," Lyra explained during a private meeting. "The Unity Directive wasn't just about control. It was about achieving what they called species transcendence, using our FTL technology to elevate consciousness itself. Those who opposed it were seen as holding back our evolution." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. While examining the Council's FTL drive specifications, James noticed something in the background radiation patterns. "Look at this," he called out, pulling up the data. "Every time they engage their drives, there's a harmonic resonance with the natural quantum field. But instead of working with it, they're forcing their way through." Sarah and Maya spent 3 days analyzing the pattern. What they found changed everything. The universe wasn't just a passive medium to be manipulated. It was more like a living system, with its own natural rhythms and flows. The Council's technology had been fighting against these patterns, creating the tiers that led to the cascade. It's like trying to swim upstream, Maya explained to the project team. You can do it with enough power, but eventually you'll exhaust yourself. The Council's been forcing their way through space-time, when they could have been riding its currents. The solution they developed was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of pushing against space-time, their new drive system would detect and amplify the natural quantum fluctuations that already existed. It would be slower than the Council's brute force approach, but it would be sustainable. As they prepared to test their prototype, Sarah received an urgent message from General Rivera. Council warships had been detected entering the solar system, ships that hadn't been invited. They're from the hardline faction, Lyra confirmed, her form dimming with concern. They'll try to stop us from succeeding. A working alternative to their technology would destroy their power base. Sarah looked around at her team, humans and council members working together, united by the search for truth rather than the desire for power. They had one chance to prove their solution worked before the hardliners arrived. Begin the test sequence, she ordered, watching as the prototype drive powered up. Around it, sensitive quantum field detectors monitored the space-time fabric for any signs of distortion. The first results were promising. The drive created a stable field that worked with the natural quantum fluctuations instead of against them. But as they prepared to move to full power, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Multiple ships entering orbit, Rivera's voice came through the comm system. They're charging weapons. Sarah looked at the prototype, then at her team. They were out of time, but they were also on the verge of something revolutionary. Humanity had found a way to navigate the cosmos that didn't require dominating it, if they could just prove it worked. Continue the test, she commanded, her voice steady. We finish this now. As the prototype reached full power, the facility shook with the first impacts from orbit. The hardliners had arrived. But below the Antarctic ice, humanity was about to show the galaxy a different way forward. If they survived the next few minutes, the Antarctic facility shuddered under another orbital bombardment. Emergency lights cast red shadows across the prototype drive as Sarah and her team raced to complete the test sequence. Through their quantum monitors, they could see space-time itself rippling from the hardliners' weapons. They're using cascade technology, Lyra announced, her crystalline form flickering with alarm. The weapons are creating intentional tiers in space-time. If they keep firing, they'll trigger what they claim they're trying to prevent. James finished, his fingers flying over the control panels. The cascade will begin here, immunity or no immunity. General Rivera's voice crackled through the damaged communication system. Earth's defense fleet is engaging, but we're outmatched. Whatever you're going to do it fast. Sarah studied the prototype's readings. The drive was working, creating a harmony with the natural quantum field instead of fighting against it. But it wasn't enough to stop the cascade of tiers forming in orbit. We need to think bigger, Maya said, pulling up new calculations. The drive isn't just traveling through space-time. It's showing us how to heal it. Understanding flashed through Sarah's mind. Lyra, you said the Unity Directive was about elevating consciousness. What if that was the right idea, but the wrong approach? Instead of forcing transcendence, we let the universe show us the way. Lyra finished, her form brightening with revelation. They worked frantically, reconfiguring the prototype to amplify its field. Instead of using it for propulsion, they turned it into a resonance chamber for the quantum field itself. Each bombardment from above made the facility shake more violently, equipment crashing to the floor around them. Control room breach, a security officer shouted. Council forces are inside the facility. Sarah looked at her team. Keep working. Security will hold them as long as they can. She turned to Lyra. We need more power. Can you interface directly with the drive? Lyra's crystalline form pulsed. It's dangerous. My people haven't attempted direct quantum integration since. Since before you started trying to control space-time instead of working with it, Sarah finished. Trust yourself. Trust what we've learned. Another explosion rocked the facility. Through the reinforced windows, they could see council troops advancing down the corridor, their crystalline forms distorted by combat armor. Lyra moved to the prototype, her form beginning to resonate with its field. James and Maya made final adjustments as Sarah coordinated with Earth's defenders through Rivera. All ships pull back to minimum safe distance, she ordered. We're about to try something that either saves everyone or... She left the alternative unspoken. The hardline forces reached the main loud door just as Lyra fully merged with the prototype. Her consciousness, evolved through centuries of council technology, combined with humanity's new understanding of spacetime's natural flow. The effect was immediate and stunning. A wave of quantum harmony burst from the prototype, spreading outward in all directions. Where it touched the tears in spacetime, they began to heal. The natural flow of the universe reasserted itself. In orbit, the hardline ship's weapons suddenly failed as their technology lost its grip on tortured spacetime. The cascade tears they had created began to seal themselves. But it wasn't over. The wave continued to spread, reaching beyond Earth's solar system. Through their quantum monitors, they watched in awe as the effect rippled out into council space, healing tears and preventing new ones from forming. The hardline forces in the facility dropped their weapons, their crystalline forms resonating involuntarily with the restored natural frequency of spacetime. They could feel what humanity had discovered. The universe wasn't something to be conquered, but a pattern to be part of. As the wave expanded further into space, they received transmissions from council worlds. The cascade was stopping. More than that, the unity the council had tried to force through technology was happening naturally as the quantum field restored itself. This is beyond what we imagined, Lyra said, her form slowly separating from the prototype. Your species didn't just find a solution. You found the path we should have taken centuries ago. Sarah watched the monitors as more data poured in. Earth's primitive understanding of physics, combined with the Council's advanced technology and filtered through human intuition about working with nature rather than against it, had changed the galaxy. But as the immediate crisis passed, she realized this was just the beginning. Humanity had proven itself to the galaxy not through dominance, but through understanding. The real challenge would be helping both humanity and the Council navigate this new reality. In orbit, the hardline ships were powering down, their crews experiencing the universe's natural flow for the first time in generations. The message was clear. The age of forcing space-time to obey was over. A new era of cosmic harmony was beginning, and humanity would help lead the way. 1 year after the Antarctic incident, Sarah stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first joint human council facility. Through the quantum-enhanced viewport, she could see ships from dozens of species moving in perfect synchronization with spacetime's natural flow, their paths creating patterns that seemed to dance with the stars themselves. The latest data from the Proxima expedition just arrived, Maya said, joining her at the window. The past year had changed them all. Maya now wore a small crystalline pendant, a gift from Lyra's people, that shimmed in harmony with the quantum field. Any signs of regression? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. The quantum harmony they had unleashed had proven remarkably stable. None. The natural patterns are self-reinforcing. The more ships that use the new drive systems, the stronger the overall field becomes. It's like the universe was waiting for someone to finally listen to it. The door slid open, admitting James and Lyra. The Council engineer's crystalline form had evolved over the past year, developing intricate patterns that reflected her deep connection with the quantum field. The Council assembly is ready, Lyra announced. It's time. Sarah nodded, gathering her notes for the presentation. Today, Earth would officially join the Galactic Council, not as a junior member seeking protection, but as equals who had helped transform galactic civilization. The assembly chamber was a marvel of the new cooperative approach to technology. Crystal and metal flowed together in organic patterns, creating a space that existed in perfect harmony with the quantum field. Representatives from over 200 species filled the chamber, their various forms all resonating slightly with the universal frequency. Former Ambassador Nexus, now first speaker of the Reformed Council, called the session to order. Their form had changed too, showing more complexity and less rigidity than before. "We gather today to welcome Earth to the Council," Nexus began, their voice carrying natural harmonics that needed no artificial enhancement. "But more than that, we gather to acknowledge a fundamental change in our civilization's path." Sarah took her place at the speaker's podium, feeling the subtle vibrations of countless quantum fields interacting in perfect harmony. "A year ago, humanity faced a choice," she began. "We could have rejected the Council entirely, focused solely on protecting ourselves. Instead, we chose to help find a solution that would benefit everyone. Not because we were forced to, but because we understood something fundamental. The universe isn't a resource to be exploited or a force to be conquered. It's a pattern we're all part of." She gestured to the displays showing the transformed galaxy. Where there had once been tears in space-time, now there were flowing patterns of natural quantum interaction. Ships moved between stars not by forcing their way through space-time, but by becoming part of its eternal dance. The stellar cascade taught us all a crucial lesson. Technology without wisdom becomes a prison. Power without understanding leads to destruction. But when we learn to listen, to the universe and to each other, we find that the possibilities are endless. The assembly chamber resonated with approval. Among the delegates, Sarah could see the former hardliners who had once attacked Earth. Their forms now showed the same complex patterns as their reformed colleagues, their consciousness expanded by accepting rather than fighting the natural flow of spacetime. Earth joins the Council not just as a new member, but as a symbol of a new way forward. We bring our curiosity, our creativity, and our deep desire to understand rather than dominate. In return, we gain not just advanced technology, but wisdom accumulated over centuries of galactic civilization. As she concluded her speech, Sarah felt a subtle shift in the quantum field, a harmony of consciousness as hundreds of species acknowledged a shared truth. The universe wasn't a battlefield where only the strongest survived. It was a symphony where each player contributed their unique note to create something greater than themselves. Later, back on Harmony Station, Sarah watched Earth rotate below. Lyra joined her, both of them comfortable in the silence of shared understanding. "Your people called it Project Aurora," Lyra finally said. "Named after your goddess of dawn." Sarah smiled. It seemed appropriate. A new day for humanity, for the Council, for everyone. "And what shall we call what comes next?" Sarah considered the galaxy spread out before them, filled with possibilities they were only beginning to understand. How about Project Harmony? After all, that's what we've really discovered, not just how to travel between stars, but how to become part of the cosmic dance itself. The quantum field pulsed gently around them, as if in agreement. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as participants in an eternal harmony that encompassed all of creation. The stars beckoned, not as targets to be reached, but as partners in an endless dance of discovery. And that, Sarah realized, was humanity's true gift to the galaxy, not just solving the Cascade crisis, but showing that the path forward lay not in domination, but in understanding. Not in forcing change, but in becoming part of the change itself. The future was unlimited, and they would explore it together, in harmony with the very fabric of space and time.